Hugs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and I have another great show planned for us. We're going to be looking at various weird things tonight, but first, while we wait for people to gather in the chat, let me go off and show off some artwork from my own upcoming graphic novel. A great show planned for us. Okay, just a moment. So, yeah, just a moment, folks. All right, let me do this. Let's show this here. Do this. Let me go over here for a moment. Let me get this stuff up here. Just a moment, folks. Let me get it up. Just a moment, folks. Almost have it ready. Let me go to my profile. This, right. Just a moment, folks. I'm almost there. Here we go. Let me do this over here, and then we'll start my live stream. Just a moment, folks. Okay. Just a moment. It's here. Just a moment. Just a moment. I'm trying to get this up here and stuff. Oh, yeah, let's go to share screen and get this up. There we are. All right, here's my extreme 90s cover. This cover I did to harken back to the comic books of the 90s. Looks pretty good, huh? Looks very good. Now, the name of my graphic novel is Scumdogs. It's a parody comic book. I parody the cartoons we all know and love from the 80s. Cartoons that we love. Now, the Scumdogs themselves, they're supervillains out to take over the world. See, they used to compete in sporting events used with superhuman monsters as the pro athletes. They're called scum and dogs because they traded in their humanity to become superhumanly powerful monsters. They had themselves changed into these things through science or through some more esoteric means to become superhumanly powerful monsters to compete in these sporting events. So they did this for money. They did this to become so they could get as much money as possible. To get their names out there and stuff. They did this all for fame and fortune, so they're not exactly the nicest guys around. But what happens when they get banned from sports? Well, the Scumdogs decide to take over the universe. You can see my main characters, Deathmug and Buick Starpoon. Deathmug is a parody of various villains from 80s cartoons. He's the purple guy with the metal mask. He's an arrogant dictator who wants to rule the world. He's based on various villains from 80s cartoons. Like Skeletor, he's got a skull face. Like the leaders of Cobra from G.I. Joe, he's like a Cobra Commander. He's got a metal mask, and like Serpentor, he's got gold on him, and he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As I said, he's arrogant. He wants to rule the world, and he fights his arch enemy Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair over here. You see the guy in the white uniform over here. Well, the green. It's also green. Well, it's green and stuff. He's the guy with the pink pompadour hair. He's an arrogant military type of guy. Him and the rest of his team are all G.I. Joe parodies. He's mostly a parody of Duke from G.I. Joe. Each of them has a military specialty that they do, specialty in the military that allows them to basically be soldiers and stuff, that makes them something in the military that makes them valuable and stuff in what they do in the military. Now, Buick Starpoon is, as I said, a G.I. Joe parody. He's mostly and stuff, but he's also a parody of space opera heroes like Zap Brannigan, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, Buzz Lightyear, or Buck Rogers, those kinds of heroes. You can see in the way he's dressed, it does look like something from a space opera. And he fights, and he's an arrogant military type of character. He's a parody of G.I. Joe characters, after all. So he's one of those military guys who never admits he's wrong, even though he is doing wrong, and ends up basically completely blowing the operation, destroying everything in sight. That's Buick Starpoon. Now, the other members of his team are on this cover as well. You can see them over here. Everyone wearing a similar uniform to Buick Starpoon as part of his team in the Space Forces. This guy over here with the mohawk and the blue uniform, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that, well, he was part of the army. Then you have this bald guy with the gun over here. His name is Beach Pounder. His military specialty is that he's a Marine, just another Marine. Before he did anything else, he was part of the Marines. Then you have this guy back here in the red uniform driving that vehicle, firing off its weapons. His name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. Now, this covers one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back when my Indiegogo goes live. So you have that to look forward to as well. It looks pretty good. All right. Now we're going to look at Girl Friday. Girl Friday is another member of the Wild Rangers. That's the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She was assigned as Buick Starpoon's second in command because while the Wild Rangers fight the scum dogs and save the universe, they're just highly moronic. Their idea of saving something is basically setting it on fire or burning it down, or well, just destroying it. So to head off criticism, her superiors in the Space Forces assigned Girl Friday as Buick Starpoon. As Buick Starpoon's second in command. She's there to basically mind and watch the team and make sure they don't destroy anything and everything in sight or anything. And she hates her job. She hates that her career in the military is basically over. Yeah, she thinks her career is over because she's basically just a minder now. And she hates Buick Starpoon. She hates where she is. She really hates Buick Starpoon. Now, by the way, folks, please hit that like button for me, will you? It really helps me fight the algorithm as well. So please go share this video out on social. Yeah, please go hit that like button for me. The more people that hit that like button means the more people are seeing my content. And it means my graphic novel Scum Dogs comes out all the sooner. I continue working on my book every day, folks. And when it's out, it'll be up on Indiegogo. Scum Dogs will be out and up on Indiegogo. And when it is, go and back it. All right. Also, remember this video, if you want to watch it again, please go to my Twitter page at @77megachris1. It will be the first pinned tweet for the next 24 hours because YouTube likes to bury my videos. And if you want to watch this video again, you can just go to my Twitter page at @77megachris1. It'll be the first pinned tweet. Because my video won't appear on my YouTube channel till sometime tomorrow because it's buried. So go to @777megachris1 and you can watch this video again. All right, let's see what else. Also, please hit that bell and hit that part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos. And please go share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Now let's look at Death Mug's henchmen, because you know, in all 80s cartoons, the main villain of the cartoon would have henchmen, and they'd be total idiots. These are my idiots. The pink guy down here is Sloppy, and the blue guy with the top hat up here is Murder Mouth. There are a couple of idiots that are total morons, and they can destroy everything they touch. They can't do anything right, but they love doing it, blowing stuff up and destroying things. They're going to be fun when you read about them in my graphic novel. Let's move on a bit further. Yeah, let's move on and see. Yeah, let's move on. Here we have, well, Hair Metal Doctor. Hair Metal Doctor is a mad scientist. He's based on Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe. Dr. Mindbender, I should say. A mad scientist. But my mad scientist here has been crossed over with a musician. Well, with a rocker and stuff like that, because I think that's awesome. He thinks of all the machines the scum dogs use to try and take over everything. He's my character right here. All right, now let's go over here and look at Miss Breasty Melons. Miss Breasty Melons is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe. As I said, she's basically based on the Baroness from G.I. Joe. She's a parody of her. But unlike the Baroness, she only became evil and joined the scum dogs for fun. She's only evil for fun. She only became evil to have fun. She's only doing this to have fun. Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Melons pinup will be included with other pinups in my graphic novel when you back it on Indiegogo. But I will also get these pinups out to you on T-shirts for you to buy. You know, just this design right here will be emblazoned on a T-shirt from Crypto Fashion for you to buy. So you're going to love it. And also remember, folks, please go. Yeah. remember. Yeah, please remember when I can get them up from Crypto Fashion, go and buy them. You're going to love them. All right, we looked at my artwork. Let's go over here and exit out of these. All right, let's go over here now. Forgot something. Just a moment, folks. Let me do this real quick. Yeah, I'll be right with you in a moment, folks. Just let me get this up here. We'll be right on to it. Just a moment, folks. Just a moment. Just let me get this up here, and stuff like that. I'll be right with you guys in a moment. Just tell you that tonight we're going to have some fun looking at some weird stuff. I don't want to get into it just yet. You can see on the title and stuff what we will be looking at. So, if you're a homeowner and you haven't... just a moment, sorry about that. Just a moment, let me get this up here. Just a moment, let me get this right here. Nice. Just a moment, just a moment. Yeah, this. Just a moment. Let me get set right here, and we'll be right with you. Let me do this. Just a moment right over here. All right. All right, let me do this right here. Get this right here, almost there. All right, there's that. All right, do this right here, and we'll look right at this stuff. Just a moment. And let me do this. Here we are. All right. All right, here we go. Let me go back to here. And let me do this. There. 14 minutes. Sorry about that, folks. Either way, we're going to be looking at Indiegogo real quick. So let me do this. Get this up here. All right. Alien Alamo has made $101,016. Not too bad. Sorry about the delay, folks, about that. Fragaboom has made quite a bit of money. Let's see. Wrath of God has made 55,608. Stomp has made 6,026. Not bad. Gray Matter has made 5,894. It's funding through demand. Same thing for Stomp is funding through demand. Let's go down here. Final Boss has made 45,143, so that's pretty good. Let's go over here. See if we can't bring up some more Indiegogos. As I said, Wrath of God has made 55,608. It's got 25 days left. U.S. Assassin Book 3. Looks pretty good. This is where Project U.S. Assassin is born as Agent Joe Knight, assigned to an all-new team to lead against the world's greatest threat, Graveyard Shift, featuring the first appearance of Flip Gordon, a new character. This book you can back for $25, and you have a choice of several different covers, and each of them look good. Here's this one of Lilith, and she looks great. Yeah. Gotta love these covers. Let's go take a look at this trailer.
I'm the mercenary, Flip Gordon. And I'm joining the U.S. Assassins team.
Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. They bout to act, ready to make it happen. Yeah, this is the elite government task force. Whole team is official. What more could you ask for? Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. You don't want drama. If they pull us, they blasting. Monsters of the graveyard shift. You ain't never seen a squad quite like this. We got Bazooka Dog, and he don't cut no slack. A dog with a giant bazooka on his back. Spirit is a reptilian, alien, 3 snakes for a tongue. You don't want to mess with him. Sensei Steel, who is some mysterious martial artist and trainer. Split off with the eggs. Zero Face is a bad guy turned good. The mercenary is a beast, get it understood. Takeout is a fast shooter, fast drop. Kirby is the Lone Ranger, but she hits hard. Lieutenant Drake, second in command. With CP, who's the brains of the team of companies that have to lead. Yeah, hey, this is U.S. Assassin. Yeah, this is U.S. Assassin. Let's go.
Cool, huh?
This is U.S.
This is good, huh? Looks pretty good. Oh, all right. We looked at a few Indiegogos real quick. Tonight, though, we're going to be looking at super soldiers. Well, yes, you said Frankenstein's super soldiers and such things. It looks pretty good. So let's get off into this. All right. Yeah, we're going to be looking at, various weird things. So, yeah, basically we're going to be looking at Frankenstein stories tonight. Well, scientific stories where things have basically gone a bit weird, where mankind might be going with their science in order to basically do, such things like creating mutants or other such things, like how people say scientists have created aliens in the lab. Well, how people say they see gray aliens. They're actually just, some people say the government created them. We're going to be talking about those kinds of stories tonight. Or rather, if the government is actually creating such monsters and super soldiers for them to use. So let's go into it. Maybe just go right off this and just put this right here. Intelligence director claims, China has gene-edited people, huh? Combat psychics. Russian colonel claims military's trained military's paranormal super soldiers. Insanely bizarre accounts of secret projects, super soldiers in Mars. And such stories, we'll be looking at those tonight. So which ones should we go off? African automaker. How soon will we see functional psi on the battlefield? Ex-soldiers' weird life and mass alien abduction. Let's see. Let me try some genetic engineering. We'll go with that first off, maybe. Should I look at this or should I like that? Genetic mutilation of cells puts human one step closer. Genetically engineered fungus makes spider venom to kill mosquitoes. JARPA wants to genetically engineer sea creatures into spies. Should I go with that first off? All right, we'll go over and look at this one first. An insanely bizarre account of super soldiers and stuff. Maybe I should do that a bit better. An insanely bizarre account of projects, super soldiers, and Mars. Let's take a look at it. The internet can be a pretty wild place, a badlands of rumors, hearsay, tall tales, fake videos, and straight misinformation at times, all unregulated and seemingly a bit like the Wild West. Though the din of the off the wall stories and outlandish accounts every once in a while, one will stand tall as particularly bizarre and absurd, yet managing to get picked up and talked about to the point that it takes a life of its own. Surely, one such tale is the story of a man who came forward with his experiences that deal with super soldiers, Martian bases, super soldiers, huh? Yeah. And interstellar war, which he claims we are all completely true. So strap yourself in and maybe put on your tinfoil hat, because we are about to blast off on a wild ride into the orbit of the truly odd. In 2006, man calling himself K, Captain K, 2006, Captain K, later found to be Randy Kramer, but Captain K sounds cool, so we'll stick with it. They stepped from the shadows on top secrecy, claiming to be a member of the United States Marine Corps, USMC, and with quite the incredibly bizarre tale to tell. It began, he said, when he was just a very small child of just 3 to 4 years old, when members of a shadowy organization came to him in the night to covertly recruit him into a program called Project Mannequin. According to him, this was an ultra-secret government program designed to create super soldiers who would be stronger, more efficient, and more obedient killers on the battlefield. Children were chosen because their young minds were seen as more malleable and easily warped, their bodies able to withstand and adapt to the rigors of what awaited them, and he would claim of the whole train process. The techniques used to make me have been described to me as a with the grain style of programming, as opposed to most against the grain styles of programming that try to force super soldiers to kill anything, anytime, anywhere. And as human animals, most of us just aren't made that way, so we resist, and the main function then became suppressing the urge to resist, rather than creating the best super soldier you can. You only create the most compliant with the grain style. With the grain, Programming doesn't try to create something that kills on command, but rather it creates a deep-seated instinct to project its, to make its tribe safe in its territory when threatened. So as long as you explain this threat credibly, the soldier will use all of its strength and cunning to destroy any that would harm those it's genetically posed to protect. Interesting. To engage in this train, says that these agents would whisk him away from his home in the middle of the night and take him to a secret base off planet where he was trained and indoctrinated for days or weeks for a time in order to make sure that no one knew he was gone. Time travel was used to bring him back to the exact moment where he had been abducted, leaving the memories within his mind like a dream. K, along with 300 child recruits, would also take part in a program called Project Moonshadow, which was next stage, and according to him, an offshoot of the government mind control program called, Mind Control Program, MK Ultra. Interesting. The Mind Control Program. Okay. When he turned 17, his training was considered complete, and he was supposedly sent to join what he calls the Mars Defense Force, MDF, part of the U.S. Secret Space Program, which has been established for the purpose of protecting Earth's five Mars colonies and claiming Mars as a U.S. territory, as well as providing a safe place to retreat in the event of some world-ending cataclysmic event on Earth. Interestingly, this was purportedly a joint program with the United States, China, and Russia, who were secretly working together to make everything run smoothly behind the scenes. These colonies had apparently been on the planet since the 60s. And that the moon landings had been a cover to divert public attention from the real aims of NASA, which was Martian colonization and planetary defense. In order to get to Mars, he claims that he was first taken to a cutting-edge facility on our moon, after which he was whisked away to the Red Planet aboard a special shuttle and stationed at the colony he calls Ares Prime at his secret MDF base called Forward Station Zebra. There were also teleport jump pods available, but at the time, these were supposedly still seen as risky of his actual arrival on Mars. He says that he was surprised that the atmosphere was breathable, and he says of this experience of disembarking. We touched down Ares Primus, HQ of the MCC Mars Colony Corporation, the MDF, Mars Defense Force. To my surprise, we walked down the gangplank and right out into the Martian air. The air was thin and cool, but the sun was being down enough to feel it. Even though it's dimmer, the sun can still be quite hot and warm, bright in the direct light. We walked in a line of personnel with scanners in their hands and who would scan your transfer packet and then direct you to whichever shuttle pad was to take you to your duty station. Interesting. Very interesting. Just a moment, folks. I might have to do something real here, so let me do this real quick. Let me go over here. Just doing some... Do this. Good. Already got this there. That's perfect. Let me go back over here, do this, and we can get back to that article. Now, what do you think about these super soldiers? Huh? Do you think they actually exist? Mankind basically doing Frankenstein. Basically doing Frankenstein for real, huh? Not to mention bringing people back from the dead, genetically engineering people, cloning, stuff like that. Yeah, we're making monsters. That's just great. Do you think we're actually doing it? Don't know, but I kind of hope not. We don't need AIs either because they're basically just no better. Because does anyone really want to live in a science fiction world where we're ruled over by AIs or something like this? Though the idea of making super soldiers does sound, it is out there and stuff. My personal opinion is that the same thing with AI, that we don't really need to make our own monsters and stuff like that. Do we really want to do this? I really don't. Hope not. We don't really need such things. Especially because I don't like the idea of people actually abducting people and turning them into turning people into super soldiers and basically using them like slaves. Do I think any of this actually happened? Well, right now, where I'm going to basically err on the fact, since I'm doing this video, say that people are making super soldiers, and it's fun to talk about and to think that maybe this stuff is real, but I really hope they don't do it. Isn't. I really don't want people to basically be like this guy if he's telling the truth. I'm just assuming he is. It sounds a bit fishy, I have to say that. But does anyone really think if he was basically taken as a child and turned into a super soldier that this is anything more than horrible? Let's get back to this article. Even though it's dimmer, the sun can be still quite hot. Yeah, the sun is being down to feel. Even though it's dimmer, the sun can still be quite hot and bright in the direct light. We walked in a line to personnel with scanners in their hands who would scan your transfer packet and then direct you to a shuttle pad who was to take you to your duty station. He would also be surprised to learn that humans were not alone on Mars and that there were, in fact, 2 indigenous alien species on the planet. Stay with me now. One of these is described as an insects species, rather imaginatively called the insectoids, which lives underground in elaborate hives, while the other is more reptilian in nature, and you don't get any points if you guess they're called they're reptilians. These 2 species had a rather hit and miss relationship with the humans who had inhabited their world, going from indifference to occasional skirmishes to peace again on several occasions. To occasional skirmishes with the reptoids. Captain K would be stationed here for the next 17 years, during which time he claims he underwent fight training, and he also says he participated in some of these battles himself, often wearing a powered suit because only truly came when humans, insectoids, and reptilians joined forces to fight against a race of evil alien invaders called the Draconians. Editorial Department High Brent, could you change the reference to Draconians to Dracoids from here on out? Our research shows that people respond to oids. Thanks, people. You seriously. Not making this up. Shortly, seriously. I'm not making this up. Well, this is what the article says. Are you making it up? But this is what the guy says. The guy he's interviewing, this is the guy who was interviewing him, says he's not making, this is what the guy told him, so he's not making this up. That's very weird. So I'm going to say he's not making this up. Shortly before his 2 decades of duty were up, he says that there was a massive battle against the Dracoids, drove them off, but left hundreds dead. Well, they they drove them off, but left hundreds dead shortly after this. K's tenure came to a close, and he was moved back to the moon, where the story gets possibly weirder than it already is. Weirder than it already is. How weird. So it gets weirder than this. Weirder than it already is. At the moon base, Kay says he went through a drawn-out reverse aging process, regressing him back to the younger self, and then sent back through time to Earth in 1987, at a point before he even left, before being sent back. There was a ceremony to honor the occasion, attended by none other than former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. Again, I am not making this up. It would then take him years to regain the lost memories that had either been disrupted by the time travel process or intentionally wiped. But came back they did, and left him in a state of shock. Sorry if I'm repeating myself here, folks, when I basically do that. I'm just having a little fun there, like this. But maybe I should basically cut it out a bit. Right about now, you might be wondering just why Captain K felt that he could safely come forward with this world-changing information. And you might be surprised to know that, according to him, he was told to blow the whistle on the whole thing by his own superior officer. Kay says that a mysterious Brigadier General Smith, one of the Brigadier General Smith, huh? Here I do it again. One of the top guys in the program came to him with the permission to let the lid off everything, and he says of this, when he personally gave me the go-ahead, and he said, I, quote, I'm giving you the go-ahead to go public with everything you know. I asked everything, and he said everything, and then we had a deal. As long as I had the assurance that my direct chain of command was behind me, and that I had no restriction on truthful content, I knew it was for real, and that he was for real. No one, not even an enemy, would want me to do that or tell me to do that. He even said I could use his name, which I just did, to let the people who need to know that I answered to him and only to him, and that if they don't like it, they could take it up with him or the CMC. It all sounds completely and totally off the rails, and it is, but Captain K has continued to assert that this is not some bad science fiction pulp story, but all very seriously real. He was continuing to write up his experience, give interviews about it, all but even his own newsletter devoted to it. Well, I have only covered the basics here. There is much more to it all, about which he goes into incredibly meticulous detail. His stories go as far as to explain the exact layouts of rooms, the equipment used, and the colors of all the uniforms, and even what type of carpet the moon has. And his story is so tight that he never contradicts himself. Adding to this is he tells his tale with such earnestness, at times raw emotion, that rather than some hoax, it is hard to think of it as anything other than that he really did experience these things, or that is severely, deeply delusional. Unbelievably, there have been other individuals who have come forward claiming to have been part of the Mars Defense Force, as well as spanning their own tales of sci-fi insanity. One is left to wonder what to make of it all. Also rather incredible is the large number of people who seem to actually believe it all, coming to the conclusion that there really are Moon and Mars bases, and that these tales are true. Are these the ravings of disturbed individuals? Giant hoax? Do they really believe what they are talking about? Is there anything to it at all? No matter what camp you are in, or camp you're in, believe. One thing I think of most of us can agree is that it is all a wild roller coaster ride of weirdness. Okay, yeah, that is nice. That's an interesting story to start off with, huh? Okay, let's go over here before we do anything else. Let's see. Genetic manipulation of cells puts humans step closer to invisibility. China may develop this. Maybe we'll look at that later. UFO religions back on the news. DARPA wants to genetically engineer creatures into spies. Scientists genetically modified E. coli into living clothing. Which article to look at first, huh? Genetically engineered fungus makes spider venom to kill mosquitoes. I could look at that as well. Just looking at different stories of super soldiers and Frankenstein experiments of the pursuit of animal de-extinction. Biohackers are using CRISPR to hack their own DNA. Let's start off with that. Let's go with this one. Just to get a moment here. This is the first time in the history of Earth that humans are no longer slaves, genetics they are born with. With that bit of bravado, a scientist recently, bravado biochemist recently became the first person known to have hacked their own DNA using CRISPR. He recently hacked his DNA a second time and has since been joined by others in making the building blocks of CRISPR available to all by selling do-it-yourself kits. Could possibly go wrong. You could make with you altering your DNA and because of viruses and stuff like that, you could basically release one hell of a damn plague on people. How do I know this? Have you ever heard about genetically engineered crops? Basically, their DNA doesn't just stay there. Apparently, they found genetically from the same kind of genetic engineering in these genetically engineered crops over in grass and stuff around them, because such things like pollination, cross-pollination, or just insects basically doing what they do, basically pollinating them plants and stuff like that, basically cross-pollinate, and basically some of this DNA has been seen to basically get into other plants. It's something like that. Basically, what happens is an insect takes some of the pollen from one of these genetically engineered plants. Basically, it then flies off. Some of it, the pollen or some of this stuff, gets into other plants and basically causes the plants to basically have some of the same DNA or something like that going around. There might be more to how that happens, but yeah, having DNA that basically can jump from one species to another does not sound like something you want, especially if it might make something like if some engineered DNA gets into a virus or something like that. What if it makes it more, these viruses or bacteria more resistant, or more these viruses harder, more resistant, stuff like that? You get the idea. According to Joseph, as we get back to this article, Josiah, not much the former NASA fellow cut his gene editing teeth in the synthetic biology program where he engineered bacteria that could one day terraform Mars, and a biochemist. He also the creator of the chromochord, the world's first musical instrument based on engineered protein. Engineered protein, huh? However, he knows that it puts also nanotechnology stuff, puts the PhD in molecular biophysics from the University of Chicago to work on the Odin. Basically a company basically into biohacking to demonstrate the effectiveness and safety of the process. He injected himself with a CRISPR tool programmed to attack his mesosocial gene, which regulates muscle growth. Without it, muscles grow uncontrolled and become bodybuilder worthy without exercise. This has already been done in animals and now in human arm. I'm hoping to see localized muscle growth in my forearm. That's what I could hope, because it was localized injection to a specific area. Dander describes the complete process in great but easy to understand detail on his blog. He brought the myostrin DNA online. Odin now sells it, and grew and purified it himself before injecting it. He reported mild tenderness and proceeded to measure his forearm regularly. Both relaxed and flexed. Does he not now have what it takes to be the next Mr. Bicep? No, the next Mr. Anything? Well, at least the way to test to see how many cells were modified would require some deep sequencing, i.e. I would need to do a muscle tissue biopsy, would need to sequence the myostrin gene in thousands of my muscle cells. I have contacted some companies for quotes. Well, at least it didn't kill him, turn him into a mutant just to be on the safe side. The DNA Odin sells on the same site where it offers a complete genetic engineering home lab kit at, over $1,000. A great Christmas gift for the guy who has everything but a massive forearm is not injectable. Well, forearm not injectable. However, Steiner gives instructions on how to obtain it online. He also gives some encouragement to fellow biohackers. And as far as I know, in animals or in non-single-celled organisms, spontaneous formation of tumors or cancers never happened using CRISPR. Well, it's not known if an Odin kit was used in Gizmodo. Gizmodo has basically said that a man with HIV recently attempted to stop its progress by injecting himself with a gene biohacked by Ascendance Biomedical. Well, biohacking using CRISPR one day replace doctors in hospitals, or will it one day replace normal but slightly flawed humans? Dangerous, and you get a bunch of genetic mutants. Keep your eye on the arm of Josiah Ziner. Oh, great. Just perfect. Okay, we looked at that. You get the idea about this. This sounds dangerous, I have to say. This does sound very dangerous. Let's go maybe look over here. China has gene-edited super soldiers. Or should I look at maybe super soldiers? There was one over here. Where are you? Combat Russian colonel claims, it has paranormal, combat as paranormal psychic soldiers. Should we look at this first? Maybe go with this one first. Let's see. This was the one with China making super soldiers. Then we'll look at the other articles and stuff. But you get the idea. This stuff is dangerous. China gets plenty of news coverage due to the coronavirus, to the its ongoing mission on the Mars, mission on the moon. But it may not want the publicity being generated. U.S. Director of National Intelligence, National Intelligence Ratcliffe, who claimed in an interview this week that China is actively conducting gene editing on members of its military with the goal of creating super soldiers with the capabilities, now only seen in only seen on TV. Is it true? Should we be worried? Is it too late, or is this a smokescreen to hide experiments that we ourselves are doing? Hide own experiments? Could be, folks. Could be. U.S. intelligence shows that China has conducted human testing on members of the People's Liberation Army in hope of developing soldiers with biologically enhanced capabilities. There are no ethical boundaries to Beijing's pursuit of power. And that needs to be stopped, because I don't like China, especially what they're doing. Do you think they're actually doing it? They're already basically engineering their athletes to be stronger. What that means is basically they're taking two athletes, and then basically they're having them have children. People are already genetically disposed to having basically bigger muscles and stuff like that. They're basically breeding them. This is genetic engineering on some level, but it's not actually using basically Frankenstein experiments. But you will get, every generation, you will get stronger people from this, which is bad enough. And they're just using this to basically win at the Olympics. But don't think they won't do anything worse than this, folks. China is evil. An exclusive article, as he says, enhanced there. And in an exclusive article, the Wall Street Journal titled "China National Security Threat Number One," Ratcliffe presents concerns and defends the article's subtitle, "Resisting Beijing's attempt to reshape and dominate the world is that the challenge of our generation," calling the findings of U.S. intelligence the greatest threat to democracy and freedom worldwide since World War II. Ratcliffe presents his case that China's goal is the world domination. Anything it says on the contrary is only a, camouflage to the activities of the Chinese Communist Party. Yep, I have to say that's true. And believe me, if we all start doing genetic engineering and stuff like that, the whole world will fall apart, because we'll end up creating new species, and they'll probably end up fighting with us and each other, and this whole world will probably end in a nuclear war. Why? Because we don't want to be replaced by a bunch of, because China will probably do, as you said with the last article, with the guy using genetically engineering himself, there's a good chance we'll have a bunch of mutants in the future with superpowers running around, and then we'll all be fighting each other, and China will try to make their own, and everyone will basically be fighting each other with such stupidity. Let's just get back to this article and read a bit more. Other articles covered Ratcliffe's article here, or rather what he was saying, pointing out that China has talked about biological dominance or command superiority. They're trying to make themselves, trying to take over, their own trying to take over through their own superior abilities, huh? But the context has been in biological warfare, or biological protection of soldiers from enemy biological weapons or backsplash from their own. Needless to say, the speculation has been in at least some of these experiments and tests have been done with the knowledge of the soldiers. Don't get all indignant without looking in the mirror of your own military first. Expected the gene editing technique most often referred to in these articles and studies has been CRISPR, which the Chinese have confirmed in multiple cases to have used in editing human embryos, bringing them to term with the babies probably in their infancy by now. Of course, super soldiers raised from super babies is not a short-term solution. The Chinese are well known for thinking long-term. Of course they are, because we need to have them take over the world. And that's only going to lead to the end of the world, because we are not going to become slaves to anybody. I'll tell you that. No Western country is going to bow down to China. And stuff like that. No one's going to bow. We are not going to let them take over the world. Well, as you can see, because the government will institute basically their own super soldiers and stuff like that, or hopefully that we won't. Basically trying to make everyone as strong as possible and do that and stuff like that, saying this is the only way. And most likely China is going to basically screw themselves over with this as well, because there's a good chance they will have to deal with a rebellion of super soldiers taking over their own government and basically doing something like that. This could be very bad as well for them because they're idiotic and stupid. Yeah, let's make the world worse. And then there'll be a nuclear war or something like that. That could be very bad. Let's get back to Ratcliffe. Let's get back Ratcliffe to let's go ask Ratcliffe here what he has to say on this. Yeah, I'm trying to find an interesting way to say this. Let's get back to what Ratcliffe is saying here. The controversial director of national intelligence, nearing the end of his term, has lived up to fears expressed during both his first and failed nomination and his second confirmed one that he would politicize U.S. intelligence. President Trump has focused his wrath on China because of the ill, his military buildup, and its economic growth. And Ratcliffe obviously supports the president. Ratcliffe's spell as director of national intelligence will end when President-elect Joe Biden is an idiot. And Biden has nominated Anvil Hines to be his bishop. She has previously deputy director of the Central Intelligence Agency and would be the first woman to hold the position. How would she react to the intelligence? China is developing super soldiers. Perhaps someone will ask that question during her nomination. And she's, I don't know, she's probably an idiot because Biden's a moron. He elected a moron. Whether Ratcliffe's op-ed is political, or whether Ratcliffe's article, basically what he's saying about what is going on, is political or real intelligence, it's not surprising that China would be conducting such. It's not surprising. I really hope he's wrong about China doing this, because do you think China's already using breeding programs to basically make superior athletes? They're probably also trying to do this. But you gotta also remember China, because of its policies, has millions of unmarried men in their country because they basically had only a one child per couple birth, and most of those couples would only have male children and basically kill the females. So there's millions of unmarried males in that country. So this is another thing where I think they'll screw themselves over by making genetically engineered super soldiers because they're that stupid. And well, they have hundreds of unmarried men, and someday there's going to be a population crash because there are not enough females to go around, and that really puts a thing on their population, which means their population will possibly have something like a population crash, or basically be very bad for them. Such experiments with the knowledge, without the knowledge of this, doing this with or without the knowledge of the soldiers. As we get back to this article, we talk about if China is basically doing this with or without the knowledge of the soldiers. I can believe that they would do that. They're not telling their soldiers what they're doing to them. It should also note not to be surprised the U.S. military And other countries are probably doing the same thing. Russia, Iran, you get the idea, would also be covertly conducting them. You know what I mean? Basically not telling them about this. We live in a world where by the time you say the cat is out of the bag, the cat is genetically altered super feline, has birthed multiple generations of creatures that are no longer content with mice, birds, or canned meat. You get the idea. What this article is saying, yeah, not content with any of that. As I said, basically this article is saying that if you make such creatures, they're not going to basically stand still and let you control them. They're people. You're genetically engineering people, and you hope to use them as slaves or use them as soldiers. Not just artificial intelligences either. These are actually people you're making into superhumans, and you want to basically control them because you think you can, because you're that stupid. Yeah. This can only end with them basically rising up and kicking ass. Probably, huh, folks? What do you think? Let's get over to some other articles. Let's go to Russian super psychics. Yeah, these combat psychics. Russian colonel says that military is training psychic super soldiers. Or maybe I should say that. Russian colonel claims. Yeah, Russian colonel says military is training psychic super soldiers. Let's get into this article, huh? In the February issue of magazine published by the Russian Defense Ministry called Emsky's Army Collection, there was a curious article titled Super Soldier, Wars of the Future, written by Colonel Nikola here. Written by Nikola Porosov. Try to say his name, folks. Let's see. The Colonel Nikola here. The article claims to detail the work done by the Russian military with combat psychics who can allegedly do all sorts of fun tricks that treat wounded soldiers on the battlefield, find hidden weapons, caches, hack computers, telepathically interrogate command dolphins with their minds. First, the hallucination gun, now psychic shock troops. Sounds like Vladimir Putin has been watching too much science, too much fiction. What can I say that? I think it's probably true as well. But listen, this sounds great. Well, this sounds great. The Russian language article was reported in by a magazine, which is also in Russian, but is reasonably readable through the magic of Google Translate. According to Colonel Prosovgov, Colonel Nikola here, I'm just going to call him that. The psychic soldiers have been successful in efforts that go beyond even the most ridiculous. Their efforts that go beyond even the most ridiculous hucksters' psychic claims. Let me reread that again. Successful in efforts that go beyond even the most ridiculous hucksters' psychic claims. What was his name again? Nikola alleges, for instance, that psychic soldiers have been able to successfully read documents locked in a safe written in a language they do not know. Nikola also claims that the paranormal-themed soldiers have the ability to psychically detect if a person is a terrorist, which is just a really bad idea in every way possible. Is a terrorist, which is just a really bad idea in every way possible. Why? Because you're basically saying it can't happen, huh? Let's see. Beyond that, Nikola, or rather Porosogov, Porosogov claims that Russian psychics have been able to burn out generators, shut down computers, or give telepathic commands. If you're wondering, I think the idea of detecting terrorists with psychic powers is a good idea if you have the power. Shut down computers, give telepathic commands and stuff like that. Telepathic commands to dolphins, telepathic commands to anyone. Telepathic commands, huh? The article did not go into depth on how the combat fit psychics were able to command dolphins, which is an absolute shame. But Russia and the U.S. have both actually trained dolphin soldiers. Apparently, Russia's spooky division already has field experience. Nikola writes that the paranormal special forces were deployed to Chechnya. The paranormal special forces were deployed to Chechnya, where they acted as psychic interrogators. Here's a quote from the article by way of Google Translate. Edited for grammar. Okay. The command was interested in how to extract how to get information to reveal the enemy's plan, the composition of the forces, and assets involved. A person with the meta content technology may, interesting. Meta content, huh? That meta content technology conduct, for example, a nonverbal interrogation. He sees through a captured enemy soldier what kind of person he is, what his weak and strong points are, or whether he will go to recruitment. The reliability of the interrogation is almost 100%. Interesting. Special Forces soldiers are trained in counter-action technologies to such interrogation in case of being taken a prisoner. The highest persons of the country or the leaders of large industrial and banking structures are also trained in order to preserve state and commercial secrets. State or commercial secrets. Question about the accuracy of the article, considering it sounds like a transcript paranoid YouTube video. The editor-in-chief of Army Collection gave a pretty solid non-answer and stated that the authors were responsible for the veracity of their writing. Colonel Nikolai doesn't necessarily have the resume of a crackpot, regular communist for the journal. Nikolai also worked as a senior researcher for the military journal Herald of Defense, as well as an editor for Defense Minister's main publication, Krasnaya Zemstin. Nikolai, I'm not even going to bother trying to read the name there. Krasnaya. Nikolai is a combat veteran. Nikolai is a combat veteran and was awarded the Medal for Service. The fatherland. So maybe he's just gone a bit kook, a bit. Say he's just gone, huh? Perhaps, but perhaps not. Anatoly Medzhevek and Anatoly Medashevik. Okay, Anatoly here, head of the analytical department of the magazine Soldiers of Russia, spoke to a magazine and said that the Russia's paranormal training program is very real. Combat parapsychology received great development in the period of the 60s to the 80s. The technique was developed by the Soviet Academy of Science in an attempt to discover the paranormal characteristics of a person. A group of specialists worked under the leadership of the General Staff of USSR Armed Forces. The achievements of the time still exist, and there are attempts to activate them. These techniques were trusted in hotspots, Afghanistan, in hotspots in Vietnam and stuff like that. We know that both the USA, Russia conducted military research into parapsychological phenomena in the past. Back then. Unless their previous research turned up absolutely nothing, there doesn't seem to be a reason to believe either country would have stopped on. On the other hand, this seems to be like a fine way to hide where military funding is being spent, and had psychic interrogators actively been deployed, it's hard to believe that cat wouldn't have been gotten out of the bag, although any potential whistleblowers probably had their brains melted. Hardly had their brains taken away. Okay, that was interesting, wasn't it, folks? We looked at Russian super soldiers, Frankenstein experiments, genetic engineering tonight. We had some fun. I'm going to have to end my article, but yeah, we had a pretty good one tonight. Going to have some fun. Thank you all for joining me. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you, okay? The there in the title is misspelled. Yeah, the there in the title is misspelled. THERE. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that like button because it helps me fit the algorithm. The more people that hit that like button means the more people will see my content, and that means my graphic novel Scumdogs comes out all the sooner. Remember, folks, this video will be up on my Twitter page at 77megachris1 because YouTube is basically burying my videos. And if you want to watch this again, go to at 77megachris1. It will be the first pinned tweet. That's at 77megachris1. Hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications. Leave some comments down below and stuff like that, as well as, Yeah, as well as please go and please go and share this video on Twitter and Facebook. Anything else? Yeah. Also, remember, folks, please go and subscribe to Stitched Together Pics. Stitched Together Pics is a YouTube channel that is basically great. The channel, well, it's known. The guy, yeah, it's hosted by the maniacal cinephile, who is a character who plays multiple personalities, who has multiple personality disorder and plays a bunch of different characters, and they are just fun. Stitched Together Pics basically reviews movies, and they are just great, and they are just fun to watch. Go and subscribe to Stitched Together Pics, as well as go over to the Creepy Little Book and subscribe to him too. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does small videos talking about high strangeness. Yeah, small videos talking about high strangeness, but he also does live streams every night. He live streams on weekdays at 12:30 a.m. and on weekends at 10 o'clock p.m. He talks about aliens and ghosts, and you learn so much from watching his live streams. Go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Also, go and subscribe to Robot Co-op. Robot Co-op is like Mystery Science Theater 3000. They do these live streams with these robot puppets that are so much fun to watch. It's like watching just one hell of a great show to watch. Go and subscribe to Robot Co-op. And remember, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 11 o'clock p.m. for another live stream. So be sure to come back again then. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel.